Oh, lovely. Yeah. Damn it. I forgot to put this. Here it goes. Right there. Okay. Now, you probably think I say this a lot, and I do, but this is why I hate having cheap shit. Okay. Let's see. This is the second lesson in horology. I mean, the first. I'm sorry. I've done this so many times. I've caught people just being dumb in my videos. What I mean by that is sometimes someone would call me and I had to do, the first one was too long and I should have shortened it. Anyways, let's cut to brass tacks. First thing you're gonna learn: what makes a horror movie a horror movie. So, skip back. And let's see. Well, whenever you think of horror movie, what's the first thing that it has to do? What's the first thing that has to trigger? Okay, time's up. Alright, fear. Fear is the number one thing that it has to trigger. And you're not going to know your audience that well. Let's just get that out there, because each individual person in an audience is different. It could scare them a little, it could scare them a lot, or it can scare them none. But the one thing is that you have to make it is that you have to kind of get to know the audience. I mean, you got to know what mostly shocks people, what scares them. What else do you have to have in a horror movie? Secondly, suspense. The suspense is the one thing that gets their attention. Like, you know that something's going to happen, but you just don't know what. And that's what I like about suspense. Just someone walking down a hallway, quiet, and then boom, something happens. And it could be anything. It could be nothing. It could just be something dropping. It could be nothing. It could be a door opening. It could be anything. That's what you have to have. You have to have your suspense in there also. Gross. Gross can go in so many different type of angles. Gross could be, let's see, too many damn angles. Like, okay, gross can be just main example, gore. It could be that, it could be, or it can just be something else. Like, mostly what I mean by that is gores. It has to be something gross. Something like in, let me think of an example. Halloween 2. The first, couple minutes is gross. Because you see Laurie laying on the hospital bed, and they're, tearing open, and you're having, close-ups of her fingernail being torn off because she's getting infections and all. Stuff like that. That's gross. And not only that, and another example I can think of, and I wish I could have thought of this a second ago, but in the first Phantom of the Opera, whenever he took off his mask, and if I ruin that movie, I do not care. Mainly because that movie is God knows how old, and just about everyone knows, the ending anyway. It's just how his face looks. It's grotesque. It's scary. It's disgusting. It's because he looks deformed, and that type of gross, or the cannibals in the Hills Have Eyes, or Wrong Turn, stuff like that. That's gross. That's disgusting. It's not just gore. It can go. See, that's what I mean by it can go in different angles, different ways, if you may. Actors. One thing to get out of the way. I hate B movies. I'm not gonna say that full. I hate them. I just do not like them. I don't like wasting my time. I will not watch the Toxic Avengers. I just will not. Because I just know it's just cheap, cheesy, and dumb. And I mean, you can say that about the Nightmare on Elm Street series, but I just already expect it to be cheesy, and I'm not going to waste my time. And I've seen B movies. I watched Poultrygeist, not Poltergeist, Poultrygeist. And that was one of the most disgusting movies I have ever seen in my entire life. I will not lie. I did not want to eat chicken for a month because it disgusted me so much. But yes, it had the gross. But the suspense and everything, no, it didn't, because it's mainly a comedy and it's just disgusting. And and gross can go in, if you don't know what poltergeist is, look it up, and then that would be a good, example of gross. Trust me on that one, okay? I didn't even want to eat chicken for a week. That was cool, but it didn't scare me. That's one thing it didn't do. I wish it would have scared me. It didn't scare me, it just made me disgusted to where I don't want to eat. That's not a good thing. Yeah, okay, kind of yay, nay. They got pretty good outcome of me. Well, weird outcome of me, I guess you may say. Anyway, actors, you gotta just make sure that they're, good acting. And what I mean by that is in Scream, they had Drew Barrymore, they had Neve Campbell, they had, Courtney Cox, all them people in the first one. But then, and throughout the other series, they had good actors to go along with it, very good, experienced actors. Now, the ones in some other movies, like, A Prom Night, they had maybe one character that we knew of. One. And that was a little prom queen girl. And the other ones, no, never heard of them. They were pretty good, but who are they? Just make sure you have a good cast and that know what they're doing, And that's another thing. You need experience. Good experience. You know what? That's one thing that you do need. Not only that, if not that, hold good auditions. Seriously. Let's see. What else? Effects. You do need good effects in a horror movie. Like these things are what make a good horror movie. Alongside those things is right here. Location doesn't really matter. It does, but it doesn't. Let's just get back to the effects. Do not use so much CGI. Back in the day, that's the best example I can think of effects. They had to actually stop the camera, like for American Werewolf in London. It took them a long ass time for that transformation scene. I am not kidding you. Let's see. The transformation scene took a good 5 hours to do, and then each time they stopped the camera. Yeah, I'm not kidding. They stopped the camera. They put a little bit more hair and makeup on him, and not only that, he was actually hiding under the floor. And the werewolf body that you see, that he was not in costume. He was not in a costume. No, he was actually underneath. Like the floor would be right here, his hair would be right here, and then the werewolf body would be right here. It was one of the coolest transformation scenes I have seen in a long time, and it's still one of the best of today. That and The Howling, I believe. And not the remake, the so-called sequel, unfortunately, they used mainly CGI, and it looked out of place. It didn't look that well. Despite the fact I grew up on that movie, it's still not as good as the original. I saw the original a few years back, and unfortunately, I loved the one in London more than I did in Paris. Paris, I liked the acting. I didn't notice how semi-mediocre it was, but it was pretty good. Let's see. Location. Your location can be anywhere. But not only that, if it's based on that place, make sure you have right facts about it. If you have it here in Texas, do not make up a town. Some people thought Browns, Texas was like the real place of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's not. Let's see. Music. Music is one good main thing that you need in a horror movie. It creates, actually, this right here helps connect. Right here. These two things go together. The music helps create the suspense. Not only that, and the silence. Remember that. Because not only that, some scores, as far as I know, are still pretty popular. You got the Psycho one, you got Jaws, all those main ones. Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, I may be doing a movie review on the series, the entire series. I just felt like it, just for the heck of Halloween. Anyway, music can help create suspense. And the latest score that I do know of that, it's kind of new, not going to say kind of new to the horror genre, but it just kind of played throughout every movie, and that if you hear, and you'll recognize it from this movie, it's the Saw score. It's not as up there with Jaws and all that, but still. That is one thing that kind of helps it just helps create it in that moment. Like in Psycho, whenever Norman Bates is dressed up as his mom or whatever, and just you know. And whenever I hear the Jaws theme song, not the theme, the score of it. Here's the thing, I live in the middle of I live in Texas, and despite the fact I have nowhere near the ocean, and standing on dry land, I get scared whenever I hear that score. It's that good. It really is that good. All in all these things right here are what makes a good horror movie. The acting, you have to have suspense. It has to be gross. These things right here are what actually make it. But then alongside of those things, you're going to need a location. A location, it doesn't matter where it takes place, to be honest with you. As long as you have these three things, it won't even matter, to be honest with you. It could, and it couldn't be, but most of all, it mostly won't. You could have it in one place was in a cube. One horror movie was actually in a cube, and cubes. It was kind of crazy. You don't even, and not only that, it can be in the country, it can be in the city, it doesn't matter. As long as you got these things right here, you'll be okay. But then, like I said, alongside of that, you're going to have the good effects to go with it. You're going to have the music. All in all, horror movies are meant to shock people. They're meant to put people in fear. That's what they have been meant for since day one. And horror movies back then were only 3 minutes to a couple seconds long. Check my timer. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. But anyway, all these things are what you're going to need for a horror movie. I kid you not. And that is what makes a horror movie a horror movie. Not only that, but the characters themselves. And that goes alongside with the actors. You're going to need the actors, location, music. Stay with me. Fear. Main thing. Is what you're going to need. Second. Third. And then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So 7 things, the lucky 7 things that you're going to need for a horror movie. Or in any horror movie. You can watch any horror movie almost. There are even some that don't even have music. It's kind of weird to me. It doesn't help create this, it can make it. Well, depending on the theme, also, not only that, it's another thing you need. A theme. But that goes alongside the fear, because the fear is going to be the theme of it, pretty much. Let's see. Like in Scream and all that, caller. That's just some random caller. That's pretty much it. That's the theme of it. And not only that also is the fear of it. Is some random person calling you saying that they're going to kill you. But other than that, that's all the things you're going to have to need for a horror movie, and that is what makes a horror movie a horror movie. Like I said, you're going to have all of this right here. Most of these 4 things right here, then along the side is these 3 things. And mainly, like I said, you're going to need a theme. But other than that, this lesson is done. And the next one, we will be talking about the history of horror movies. I really appreciate you watching, and have a nice day.